name for the record.
Melanie White, MELANIE WHITE.
Ms. White, what is your profession?
I'm a realtor with Coldwell Banker,
And how long have you been a realtor with Caldwell Banker?
27 years.
Do you know the defendant?
I do.
And how long have you known him?
I sold he and his family a home in May 2006.
Since you sold him that home in May of 2006, have you had follow-up contact? Did you keep in contact with him after that?
Yes, I keep in contact with all of my clients so I can get referrals.
How often did you and the defendant, well, let me set the time frame, between May 2006 and the summer of 2010, how often did you and the defendant have conversations?
Maybe a couple times a year.
And those couple times a year, what did y'all talk about?
Just how he was, how the house was, how the kids were, just basic things like that. Asking if he knows anybody who needs a realtor.
Yeah. Were these conversations in person or were they on the phone?
On the phone.
On the phone?
Mm-hmm.
Did you and Mr. Newman have an opportunity to email each other at times?
Yes, we did email.
Back in 2010, did you and the defendant, and the summer, late summer in particular, did you and the defendant have occasion to talk about personal matters involving him?
Yes.
And let's talk about that conversation. Where did that conversation take place?
At the Sunflower Cafe in Sandy Springs.
Now, who asked for the meeting? Was it you or was it the defendant?
The defendant.
And why did he say he wanted to meet with you?
He said that he was in trouble financially, that his twins were in college, and he thought that he was going to have to do a short sale on his home, and he wanted to talk to me about the options for his home.
A short sale on his home.
Mm-hmm.
Trouble financially.
Ma'am, excuse me, I know, if you could say yes or no, that
Sorry.
would translate in the record very well.
Yes.
So if you could say yes or no, it'd be great. Thank you, you may proceed.
Trouble financially. A
Yes.
short sale on his home.
Yes.
If you could explain to the jury exactly what you mean in layman's terms when you say short sale on a home.
A short sale is when the bank agrees to take less than is owed on the mortgage, and they forgive the balance. So we try and sell the home for as much as we possibly can, and most of the times it's not as much as what the mortgage is for, especially with the declining of our real estate market, and the bank agrees to take that amount.
Now, why do people short sale?
Because they're in trouble financially, they skip mortgage payments. You have to skip at least 3 mortgage payments before a bank will consider a short sale.
And this was the reason that he said he wanted to meet.
Yes.
Okay, now once y'all got together at the Sunflower Cafe,
Yes.
Sandy Springs,
Yes.
tell us about the conversation that you all had.
We talked about the kids, life, and then we got into the financial aspect and short sales, and I explained to him what a short sale is, like I did just now. And he said that he and his wife were having troubles and that he had moved out the night before. And that was it.
Let's put this in context, at least by way of time. When did you and he have this conversation? Do you remember the day or the month?
I believe it was August 2010. It may have been July.
Now, when he told you he had moved out the night before, how did you respond?
I said, "What's the problem?"
And what did he say?
He said that they had just always had problems, and he just couldn't take it anymore.
Did he tell you where he was staying?
Yes, he was staying at a hotel. I believe it was Crestwood up in Marietta. I believe that's where he said he was staying at that time.
Now, when he told you he couldn't take it anymore, did you give him advice? Did you continue the conversation? How did it go?
I asked him if there was someone else in his life.
And how did he respond?
He said there was someone that he was fond of at work.
someone he was fond of at work.
Yes.
Did he tell you anything about this someone?
He told me that she was married. He told me that she had 2 small children.
He said she had 2 small children?
Yes.
Okay, and what else?
He said that he was not going to tell me her name because she was part of the Jewish community, as I am and the NEUMANs are. And that was about it.
Other than saying he was in trouble in his own relationship, did he tell you anything about his wife or spending habits, anything like that?
He did say that Relly had never had a job. She had always been a stay-at-home mom. And with the twins in college, it was really strapping him financially because she had never worked.
Okay.
And he had continually, or started telling her that she really needed to get a job.
Did you give him any advice, or did you just say, that sounds interesting? I mean, how did this conversation go?
There were times that he asked for my opinion, and my opinion was always, go back to your wife, go back to your kids, leave the other person alone, she's married, and that was it.
What did he say when you gave him this advice to go back to his wife?
I don't recall.
Let me ask you about his demeanor during that conversation. During the conversation, was he able to string along logical statements, connect point A to point B?
Yes.
Did he seem out of touch with reality in any way?
No.
Did he seem depressed?
No.
In fact, did he even seem happy?
I can't really say happy, but he was not depressed. He was concerned.
Was he acting any different than he had acted over the course of the last 6 years or 5 years that you've known him?
No.
Tell you he had been suffering from any delusions?
No.
When you concluded this conversation, did you guys agree to talk again? Did you agree to do work on his real estate issue? How did things go out of this conversation?
Yes, we said that we would speak again.
And about what?
About the real estate.
Did you go and actually do work on his real estate situation, on his house?
He mentioned to me that his wife was really good friends with another realtor in the subdivision, but that he had hoped if it came to it that I would get the listing. And I did do my own work, but I was never asked, he never asked me to provide it to him.
Okay. Let's talk about the next conversation that you had with him. When was the next time that you and he met face to face?
Probably September. We only met face to face a couple of times.
Okay.
Most of our communication was email, text, and phone.
So the first conversation was in August or July. The next conversation was perhaps a month later in September. Is that fair?
No, we spoke on the phone,
Okay.
but the next face-to-face,
Was in September.
I believe it was September, yes.
Okay, well, let's
September what year?
2010.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a good opportunity for a stretch break for you. We're going to let Deputy Moore let you go into the jury room. And there is coffee available for you in the jury room, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Deputy Moore, 10 minutes. All right.
Ms. White, I was asking you about the second face-to-face conversation. I believe your response was that there were other conversations that were not face-to-face between the two face-to-face meetings.
Correct.
Were these conversations on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about these conversations.
I became what I felt like was one of Hemi's best friends. He confided in me about things that were going on with he and his relationship with his wife, the counselors that they were going to, the suggestions by the counselors.
Let me stop you. When you say the counselors, what type of counselors?
Marital counselors.
Okay, go ahead.
And he would discuss with me, I'm not sure if he had, I believe he may have told me the first name of the person that he was fond of at work, but he never told me the last name. And he would discuss different emails and things that were going on with that relationship.
Okay. Is this the sum and substance of those phone calls, or is there anything else in the phone calls?
That was pretty much it.
All right. Let's talk about the second face-to-face conversation. Where did y'all meet the second time?
At Perimeter Mall in the food court.
And when was the second conversation again?
I believe October
Of what year?
2010.
And who asked for this meeting, you or Hemi?
Hemi.
And did he say why he wanted to meet face-to-face?
Just to talk more in depth about things between he and his wife and between he and Andrea.
What did he tell you when you met with him?
Well, he told me he valued my opinion, and he told me that they had a trip that was planned for London, and that was it was Yom Kippur of that year. So it must have been a September meeting, because that's when Yom Kippur was, and that they were leaving on Yom Kippur, which I felt was odd, given that we're all Jewish and that's like the holiest day of the year.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. What exactly is Yom Kippur?
It is the ending of our 10-day New Year's celebration. We have a 10-day period, and it's called the Day of Atonement.
Okay.
And that's when most Jewish people are in temple. We fast, and we're in temple all day, and we are repenting for the sins of the previous year.
And that is a Jewish religious holiday?
It very much, probably the most religious of the year.
He left to go to London on Yom Kippur.
Kippur,
All
yes.
right. Tell us about the London trip and what he told you.
He told me that he and Andrea were going to London for business.
He and who?
He and Andrea
Okay.
were going to London for business.
Now let me stop you. Earlier you stated that you didn't know the name of the person he was having an affair with. Did he say that this was the person that he was having an affair with, because you just mentioned the first name, Andrea?
At some point, he did tell me her first name.
Okay. On business, what else did he tell you?
That was about it. He told me he was excited.
Did you talk about anything else other than the upcoming London trip?
I don't recall.
Okay. What was his personality like, his demeanor like at this meeting?
Same old Hemi.
Same old Hemi. Had he spoken with you about any delusions that he had been having?
No.
Did he tell you in February of that year, 2010, that he had attempted suicide?
No.
Did he seem depressed?
No.
Same old Hemi.
Yes.
Anything else we need to know about that was said at this meeting?
No.
All right. At some point in time, did you and he have, after this, did you and he being Hemi, have discussions about the trips that he and Andrea were taking?
Yes.
And when is that? When did y'all have this conversation?
After the trips, he would call me and tell me how the trips went, tell me how their time was together and what they did.
Did he do this after every trip?
Yeah. No, he did this after London and after Greenville. I was not aware of any of the Colorado trips.
Okay, let's start with London. When y'all talked after the London trip, was it face to face?
No.
How was it?
Phone.
On the phone. What did he tell you about the London trip?
That he and Andrea got closer. I believe that was the time that he said that he and Andrea had decided that they were soulmates. He also told me that Andrea was adamant that she would not leave her husband and her 2 kids. And he continually asked me what I thought he should do.
Let me take you back to a comment you just made. You said he and Andrea. Did you get the impression that he was saying both of them decided they were soulmates?
Yes.
What did you tell him he should do?
Go back to his wife and leave Andrea alone to be with her husband and her kids. I continually told him that.
And how did he respond?
He never paid attention to what I said.
When you say he didn't pay attention,
He heard me.
Okay.
He heard me, but that's not what he wanted to hear.
Did he say anything when you said go back to your wife?
I believe he said I suggested that they go to a counselor and try and get their marriage back together.
And how did he respond when you made that suggestion?
Relly had been asking that as well, so they did go to counseling.
Okay.
And he did call me often when he was going to the counselor, when he would leave the counselor, and just let me know how the meeting went.
Now, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Are these marriage counselors?
Yes, yes, marriage.
And you mentioned the name Raleigh. I know the jury
Relly,
has-
that's Relly NEUMAN.
I know you know who that is.
How is she related to, is she related to the defendant?
She was his wife, or is his wife.
Do you know Relly?
Yes, I knew Relly.
Have you met her before?
Sure, I sold her the house.
Okay. Let's go back to London. The conversation about the London trip.
Yes,
Did he tell you about the accommodations, meaning where he was staying and where Andrea was staying at the hotel in London?
they were staying at the same hotel.
Okay. Did he tell you whether or not they actually ended up in the same room at some point?
I believe that's when they had adjoining rooms.
They had adjoining rooms. Do you know, did he tell you whether or not he actually ever went into her room or she came into his room?
I believe she came into his room.
You believe that because he told you that?
I believe that that's when it was, yes.
And what did he say what happened when she came into his room in London?
This was a long time ago. I believe that was when he said that they laid on the bed and cuddled, and did just about everything but have intercourse.
Did he use those words or was,
No,
What
those weren't his words.
what words did he use?
That they kissed and they fondled each other, and then she got up and went into the bathroom.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
Did he tell you what she actually did in the bathroom?
Yes, he told me that she went into the bathroom to, quote, finish herself off.
Finish herself off.
Yes.
Did you ask him what he meant by that?
I didn't have to,
Well, why didn't you have to?
because I assumed that that meant that she was going into the bathroom to masturbate.
What was his overall impression of the London trip? Did he have a good time?
Yes.
What did you say when he told you that they had done everything but have sex and she actually went in the bathroom and masturbated?
I told him to leave her alone,
And how did he respond?
that they became very much closer, and he didn't say he was going to leave her alone or not leave her alone. He just went into how close they got and how they could finish each other's sentences, and that was about it.
Did he appear to be in love to you?
Yes. Infatuated.
Let's talk about the Greenville trip. Did y'all ever have a conversation about Greenville?
Yes.
And when did this conversation take place?
He called me when he was on his way to pick Andrea up to go to Greenville.
Do you remember what month that was in?
October. Because London was September, which was Yom Kippur, so this would have been October.
Okay. And what did he say when he was on his way to pick up Andrea for the Greenville trip?
That he was really excited and that they had adjoining rooms and that they were going to have a nice couple days together.
How did you respond?
I don't remember.
Did he call you when he got back?
He called me from Greenville, I believe.
Okay. Tell us about that conversation.
I believe that was when he said that they went to the lake and sat at the lake and talked, and then they had a drink, and then they went back up and had a really nice dinner, and then they went back upstairs to the hotel room, and they ended up in the same hotel room. I don't know which room.
Did he tell you what happened once they ended up in the same hotel room?
What he told me was that she gave in.
She gave in. Is that what he said?
Yes.
Did he tell you what he meant by she
No.
gave in?
No?
What did you believe he meant?
I believed he meant that they had intercourse.
And how did you respond when he said she gave in?
Hemi. Shouldn't have done that. You know you shouldn't do that.
And what did he say?
I don't recall.
Did you have any other phone conversations with Hemi about his relationship with Andrea Snyderman?
A lot.
Can you tell us about some of those other phone conversations?
There were phone conversations, there were emails. After the Greenville trip, Andrea was very distraught. She was, from what Hemi told me, she was very upset with herself, and she wanted to sever the personal ties with Hemi and just keep it business.
He said that's what Andrea said.
Yes.
And how did he respond to this?
He could not leave that alone.
Did you and Hemi ever email one another?
Yes, a lot.
Your Honor, the record may reflect that from the opposing counsel within Mark 6,
I'm sorry. Could I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Sure.
Mr. Geary was telling me something, and I was trying to understand that, and I wanted
You may.
to get
I believe he handed you number 41. Lawyers, I don't mean to interrupt, but do you have any objection to 41?
I don't know yet.
Okay, that's fine. Take a look at it.
Okay.
Oh, is that, well, let me be,
I'm just trying to understand this and then look at this.
that's fine.
So, okay, I apologize for that.
Oh, no, take your time.
And I believe, Your Honor,
Well, no, let him
Okay.
look at the exhibit
Sure.
first. While he's doing that, ladies and gentlemen, you can stand and stretch in the jury box. It's mandatory. If you're in the jury box, you need to stand and stretch.
May I have some water?
You may. Mr. DA, she's asking for some water.
I will make sure she gets some.
He will take care of that.
Thank you.
All right.
And Your Honor, just
No, that's fine. You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen.
Just so the record reflects, it's also stipulation, page number 54304 through 4304 through 4308. I apologize. Stipulation 4304 through 4308.
All right, not a problem, Counselor.
May I
Any
proceed?
other- You may approach. And you did let Mr. Peters take a look.
Yes,
I
I did.
did, Your Honor, and thank you, and I have no objection.
Okay.
You may approach, sir. Did you get your water?
I did, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I am handing you what has been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 41. If you'll take a look at that and tell me if you recognize it.
The whole thing?
Well, just look at the email address.
Oh, the address. I'm sorry, I thought you wanted me to, yes, yes, sir.
Is that your email address?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you recognize the email?
Yes.
All right. Any alterations or deletions or anything like that to it, or is it a fair and accurate representation?
It's accurate?
Okay. No alterations, no deletions.
No?
Your Honor, at this time, I tender State's Exhibit number 41 into evidence.
Any objection, 41?
No, sir.
All right, it's submitted without objection.
If you could start at the, well, first of all, let me ask you, Is that email correspondence between you and Hemi?
Yes.
And when did you and Hemi have this conversation via email?
September 28th, 2010.
And if I could have the court's permission to publish the document?
You may.
All right.
Will be published.
If you could start at the back of the email and move forward.
Yes, September 27th, 2010.
Okay. And can you please tell us, looking at this back page, what this part of the conversation that he's forwarding to, is it a forward to you, first of all? Or is it direct correspondence between you and him?
This is direct correspondence between Andrea and Hemi.
Okay. And how did you get the direct correspondence between Andrea and Hemi?
It was forwarded to me by Hemi.
Okay. Did you ask Hemi to forward that to you?
No,
Okay. Why did Hemi forward that to you?
because he always wanted my opinion of what he should do.
Okay. And likewise, in the other situations, did you give him your opinion in this situation?
Same opinion.
Okay.
Excuse me, what's the same opinion?
Go back to your wife and kids. Leave Andrea alone to be with her husband and her kids.
Next question.
Let's talk about this back page. What exactly is going on in this last page in terms of the conversation with him and Andrea? Can you tell us what it says?
Andrea wrote, "I am so sorry that you are so sad right now. I feel terrible that I've not supported you in your situation. I want to do that, but you know how conflicting the whole thing is, but I still want to do it. If you want to talk this week and I am available, please do call me. I will try to call you on my way home today around 4-ish. Andrea."
And how does Hemi respond?
Hemi's response, "Please don't be. Dealing with it, as difficult as it may be, just knowing you are there for me is enough. Thank you for being my friend. And as your friend, I won't do that to you because it just pains you. Besides, I'll be on the flight when you free up. Go home, relax on the way, think of me and smile, and love your peanuts. Miss you."
Is there any more to this conversation, or did it end there?
No, there's more.
Okay, go ahead.
"Are you sure? Well, if your flight is delayed, then you will have no choice but to talk to me," with a smiley face. "Not a lot of relaxing going on these days, but I am trying to get there. I need a routine. Is that even ever possible?" Smiley face, me, and that was from Andrea.
And what did Hemi say next in the conversation?
"You know I'm there for you if there is anything you want to talk about. No, it's not just your execution and good to dream. By the way, flight has moved up to 3:34 from 3:56, but back from 2:15. You are so much a better option than the iPad. Just saying, me, thanks, Hemi."
And the top of that page, what's the other part of the conversation?
This is from Hemi to Andrea. "Okay, whatever you need, and I'm not sure we'll get a chance next week to talk about me. In the meantime, find your routine, hopefully not involving carpool line. Thanks for being there. By the way, did you see that movie Being There with Peter Sellers? A classic. Me. Thanks, Hemi Newman."
Now, when he sent this to you, he was looking for your advice.
Yes,
Did you respond via email about this?
I don't remember.
Do you remember what he said to you when he first sent it to you?
He wanted to know what I thought.
Okay. If you look at the front page of State Exhibit number 41, is that an email from him to you?
It is?
Okay, and if you can tell us what he said in that initial correspondence.
Can you orient us by date and time?
Yes, sir.
This is September 28th, 2010, 12:24 a.m.
Thank you.
"I guess I should put it in context for you. We left the flight with a kiss, knowing that I was traveling, and I told her that we shouldn't really communicate over the next 1 to 2 weeks. She wholeheartedly agreed. By the way, she did tell me that one of the things that kills her is that I am the only one that she can talk to about us and Rusty, that everyone else will be so disappointed. So she tells people snippets controlling the whole story. She also says that it won't change the outcome, that she is staying no matter what, so any advice is pointless. Anyway, on Sunday, she sent me a text, and then we went back and forth a few times regarding how the kids are great, etc. I did give her advice that she must concentrate on them. Today, as much as it killed me, I did not contact her. She pinged me that she wanted to talk to me about some work thing. Again, some chat and texts, and we agreed she would call me at 1 while I was waiting for my flight. She called and we spent 15 to 20 minutes talking about the kids and the presents we got them. She paid, but we chose them together. I told her briefly that we never talked about my situation and that it was quite messy. I told her that I couldn't have sex with someone I didn't love and that it was killing me pretending to be someone I wasn't. It took 2 minutes. Then we talked about work for another 10 to 15 minutes. That's when the exchange started below. At some point, she canceled a meeting we had scheduled for next week because of some training she has. I wrote back with a sad face. She wrote back, ditto. There was more text exchanging throughout, and tonight, I don't want to lose her. Hemi.
Was there ever a point that Hemi sent you an email about leaving his wife?
Yes.
Your arm showing holding count places at 42.
Thank
I
you.
believe that is stipulation page number 5290 through 5292.
Thank you. You may approach.
Now I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit number 42. Look at that and show me if you recognize it.
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
It was forwarded to me from Hemi.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of what you recall being forwarded to you from Hemi?
I believe so.
All right, any changes, deletions, anything like that?
Not that I can see.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask the tender State's Exhibit number 42 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
42 is admitted without objection. You may publish it to the jury.
Now, what was the gist of this email before you start reading it? What was it about?
He was apologizing to all of his friends and family for leaving Relly and the kids.
And do you remember when he sent this email to you? Is it?
It's dated Sunday, October 3rd, 2010, 8:35 p.m.
When he sent this email to you, did you respond? Did you have conversation about the fact that he was leaving Relly and his kids?
I did not.
And did you receive that one directly?
I did not. I was not copied along with all of these people that I recall. I recall getting this email and not really sure who it was meant for. And then as I read into it, I realized what it was and that it was sent to all of his family and friends. I read it and that was it.
Okay. Let's start at the back of the email, if you could read for us what the email says.
Do you want the entire email?
Start at the back top paragraph and read down midway through.
You are extremely disappointed, I know. It all seems so perfect. How could such a great home with such great kids be in so much trouble? Yes, I keep it all in. I have my poker face. I'm sorry that I put you through this. Please support Relly in every way. Me, I've been through hard times and I will make it through this one. I'll be speaking to all of you in a few days. Right now, talk to Relly. The only ones I want to talk to today are Lee, Tom, and Addie. Thank you for all your support. I love you. Hemi.
Doesn't that say I love you all?
I'm sorry, I love you all. Sorry, sir.
That's fine. If you don't mind, read it in its entirety, please.
I love you all, Hemi Newman.
Thank you. You may continue.
During these email correspondence, times that you all talked back and forth via email, did the defendant tell you that he was seeing demons or angels?
No,
Did the defendant tell you that he was depressed during these correspondence?
no,
Did he ever tell you he had attempted suicide?
no,
Did he ever tell you he was thinking about attempting suicide?
no.
Did he seem like the same old Hemi?
He did.
Thank you. Nothing further at this point, Your Honor.
Mr. Peters, you may cross-examine, sir, if you wish.
Good afternoon, Ms. White.
Hi.
You indicated that you knew Relly, you had met her, and that was back from 2006 when you sold she and Hemi their house. Is that correct?
Yes,
And I believe you felt then he was buying a house that was a little bit more than he could really afford.
yes,
But you indicated that he wanted to do that because it was the house that Relly wanted so badly, correct?
that's correct.
You've told us a lot about what Hemi expressed to you about his feelings for Andrea. I believe you've indicated that he said he was just crazy about her. Is that correct?
I don't recall saying that word, but I knew he was very much infatuated with her.
Okay. And I also wanted to ask you about his description to you about that trip on October the 21st in Greenville, where, if I understood your testimony, that they sat by the lake, they had drinks, I think they had a dinner, if I've got it in the right order, and then they returned to the room, and after that, he said to you that she gave in. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. I'd like to ask you regarding how Hemi told you that she then started treating him in the days after that trip to Greenville where she had given in to him.
Yes, sir, she pretty much cut him off. I mean, she had him on a yo-yo emotionally. She would give a little and then she would take it back and say, oh, I feel so guilty and I can't do this, so let's just have a business relationship and not a personal relationship.
Ma'am, the term "had him on a yo-yo," is that a term that he used, or is that your term?
My turn?
All right. You may continue.
Your Honor, may I approach the
You may.
witness?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. White, I show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit Number 9. I'd like you to take a moment and to read that, and I'll ask whether or not you can identify that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll ask you whether or not that then is what appears to be your response back to Hemi after the exchange of emails that you just previously read to the jury.
Yes, it is.
And what is the date of this email that you're looking at now, please.
This is Tuesday, September 28th, 2010, 11:06 p.m.
Okay, so it's, say it again, please.
Tuesday, September 28th, 2010, 11:06 p.m.
Okay. And, Your Honor, at this time, of course, if I may for the record.
You may.
Your Honor, this is from the stipulated evidence. These are 3 pages, 4670, 4671, and 4672. Of course, they're already in evidence, but for the record, I move to introduce them again, if I may.
All right. Any objection?
No objection.
And I'll ask if you can just take your time and just read this final response very slowly, very clearly, so the jury can hear it. That
Sure.
you sent to Hemi, please, ma'am.
This is my response to Hemi. Hemi, it continues to sound like she is lifting you up and knocking you down because she herself displays emotions that are up and down. Yet, always in the end, she continues to tell you that she is not leaving her marriage. I am not sure if she is trying to convince you or herself. In my opinion, a person does not have an affair, whether emotional or physical or both, unless they have a portion of their heart and foot out the door. It is not an easy decision to make, knowing one is contemplating ending a marriage, especially with children. It is a process and can take a long time. Your relationship escalating to the physical intimacy you had in London only makes her that much more remorseful and confused. Believe me, she is dreaming about wishing it could be, figuring out how she could possibly think about ending the marriage to be with you. Then she will get angry at herself for thinking that way and push you away. It is a seesaw of emotions and will continue to be that way. ... Hold on. You must be patient and take care of yourself and your family. You're going to have a lot come down on you once you positively announce your marriage is over, and there is no way to get it back.
Your advice to him, based on what he told you 2 days after he returned and she returned from England.
You have to answer out loud.
Yes.
No more questions, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. DA, any redirect?
Yes, sir.
You may.
You use the term yo-yo. Can you fully explain what you mean by yo-yoing?
I mean that from what I was told strictly from Hemi, because everything I knew was strictly from Hemi, that what he would tell me about the way Andrea would treat him and be nice to him and be close to him emotionally and physically, and then she would feel remorseful and totally pull back.
Even though this yo-yoing, as you call it, was going on, did he still seem like the same old Hemi?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Peters, any requests?
No, sir.
Lawyers, may Miss White be released? Is it Miss or Mrs.?
Miss.
May Miss White be released and excused from her subpoena?
Yes, sir.
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr.
All right. You're free to go. Have a good day. Drive safely. Call your next witness, please.
They calls Orna Hannison.
Thank you.